Hello, Cubs fans, and welcome back to another Northside Baseball video. As we celebrate our time getting into the playoffs, there's another story that we want to follow where we're a little bit scratching our heads a little bit. Kyle Tucker, who's been on the IL for quite a little bit, is doing some weird things and going down to Tampa. And we're going to tell you why. It's not for the celebration of he's not celebrating with the boys that the Cubs have made it to the playoffs. He's going down there for PT because he is not happy with the Cubs PT group, and that's fine, but it's very strange, and we're here to talk about it. So, Brandon, let's hear your thoughts. You've been following this story for quite a bit.
Yeah, we talked about Kyle Tucker in August when he was going through that like career worst slump. They didn't let him rest his finger injury, then they give him some time off, and then he came back and he was like the best Kyle Tucker we've ever seen. And then he was super hot, and then of course this calf injury happens, and now the Cubs were very cautious. They said, "We're not letting this happen again. We're putting him on the injured list right away. We're not going to let him play hurt." Except the problem now is that he isn't getting better. And so obviously, if you've been following this saga at all, you know that, the Cubs medical team has been trying many different treatments for Tucker's calf injury. Nothing's really been working. He's ramped up. He's had to shut down, with inflammation and other tightness issues. And so now the latest update is that he's going down to Tampa Bay, as Ethan said, and he's going to work with his own personal physical therapy team, the same team that helped him out with injuries over the previous offseason, to try and get himself right before October. Which, the Cubs have said the right things about. Craig Counsell said, that the team is aligned with Tucker on this matter. Obviously, everyone wants him to be healthy for the playoffs. But this is extremely concerning. I can't really, sugarcoat this one. I think this probably means Tucker's not going to come back for the playoffs. He's going to try because obviously he's a free agent, and every home run he hits in October is a couple more $1 million in the bank for him. Um, but this kind of update at this point in the season, when the Cubs are still playing for playoff seeding, obviously right now he's not going to play in the regular season. He's got to get healthy, but there's still stuff to play for, including the division is technically still in play. For a guy to leave the team and go work with his own like personal group, is really, really concerning. It just to me shows that Tucker's not happy with the way rehab's been going with the Cubs this year. Obviously, he had the finger injury earlier. He's got this injury now. Um, and insofar as, we look past the postseason, this is just another feather in the cap of those saying Tucker's not staying in Chicago past this year. I do think that there's probably some ripples under the surface, between, the relationship between the player and the team. But focusing on the here and now, I am worried about his status for the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a really weird thing to say, you know what, I'm done with this, with this MLB level physical therapists and, this entire team. I'm going with my own guys, and it's fine. Like you said, the Cubs, at least not behind closed doors, have said we're okay with this. Who knows what that actually means? But at the end of the day, it is a little concerning. Kyle Tucker has been a huge asset to the Cubs, and to not have him in the playoffs at all, if that does happen, is really concerning. I do hope that he does make a return fully healthy. I don't want a half-baked Kyle Tucker to make it back onto the field because I think that will only hurt and hinder us in the playoffs. Now, what you could say is he could just become DH, but that's a story for another day. Um, I will say, and we covered this in another video, if he does not return, I don't think it's lights out for the Cubs per se. He's not the only good Cubs player. He's a great asset to us, but at the end of the day, like I said in a previous video, we have some great veteran players. We have some great people who just came up from the minors and they're already working great with the Cubs. I'm not too concerned about the overall look of what the Cubs look like going into October, but you are right. It is concerning about both the future of what Kyle Tucker looks like on this team and his possibility of returning for the playoffs.
Yeah, I will say for the optimists out there, the part of the update was that the expectation is Tucker's going to return when the Cubs come back to Wrigley Field to finish up their final 6 games of the season. That takes place on the 23rd, which is this upcoming Tuesday against the Mets. If he returns at all on that homestand before the playoffs, to the team, that obviously doesn't guarantee he'll play in October. It probably makes it more likely. But again, I don't mean to be so negative, especially on such a, celebratory time, when the Cubs are in a position to, they're in the playoffs for the first time since 2020. You know that they've won 83 games or 84 plus games for the first time since Jed Hoyer took over. There's a lot to be, happy about with the Cubs. It's just Tucker has a very outsized importance on this team. It's why they made the blockbuster trade in the offseason. Again, like you said, him being out, for any, amount of time doesn't guarantee the Cubs are going to lose, but it does significantly hinder their odds in the playoffs. But as always, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. Do you have an optimistic take on what's happening with Tucker? Are you way off the deep end on the negative side? Do you think like this is a conspiracy against the Cubs? Is this a new curse for the Cubs? Let us know your thoughts, and as always, we'll try to respond to every comment.